And now, in studio, bringing his Midwest values from the Show Me State to the land of San Diego. He's a triple threat, licensed as an attorney, mortgage broker, and a top producing realtor who's crushing the competition. Here to deliver you what's happening in the trenches of the market. Your host, Michael Gaddis.
Welcome to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170. The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of FrontierLoanGroup.com and MichaelGaddis.com. And we are here every Monday night at 7 p.m. to talk about anything and everything related to real estate, and sometimes things not related to real estate. So before we get started, I want to mention that I have two free reverse mortgage workshops coming up soon. I have them, they're both in Chula, Vista. One is on this Thursday, January 12th, from 12 to 2 p.m. 12 noon to 2 p.m. It's at the Mangia Italiano on 3rd. And I have another one next Thursday, a week from Thursday, January 19th, from 6 to 8 p.m. So this Thursday, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Next Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's at Mangia Italiano on 3rd. There are free reverse mortgage workshops. Please feel free to contact my office at FrontierLoanGroup.com. That's FrontierLoanGroup.com for more information. But there is a reserved seating, so please make reservations while you can, because sometimes it books up pretty quickly. So other than that, I want to start by talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions. You know, it's the first show, my first show since New Year's. And you know, every year at this time, people make their New Year's resolutions. And every year in December, everyone talks about the New Year's resolutions that they did not comply with. So I want to share with you my New Year's resolutions, and that way you guys can all hold me accountable at the end of the year to make sure that I did what I said I was going to do. My number one New Year's resolution is to keep my New Year's resolutions. That's my number one New Year's resolution this year. I want to make sure that this year I abide by what I say. So, aside from that one, my first New Year's resolution is I am going to get back into working out more, because when I was in law school and when I was in undergraduate school, I used to work out religiously, probably too much. I used to work out about 3 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. I was obsessed with it. And I know that once I got a family and I started working, it sucked up my time, and I bought a house and I started working on my house. All my free time was taken up doing all this other stuff. But you know, years and years later, I really miss it. I miss the endorphins it releases. I miss the just a general stress release. And I just in general miss the atmosphere of it. So my number one New Year's resolution this year is to start taking care of myself. And I think, and just so you know, I have a guest coming up in my next segment who is a specialist in this, and we'll talk to him more about this. But taking care of yourself is so important, and that includes diet. It includes, working out and being active. It's just an all-around way of life, and I'm going to change my way of life this year. And I want to start taking care of myself, because a lot of people will take care of themselves. They'll go to the gym, but they still eat crap. And it's kind of like putting bad gas in a car. You know what happens when you drive a car for so long and you put bad gas in it? It starts sputtering, it doesn't do as well. So I want a number one resolution, aside from keeping my resolutions, is I want to become active and get disciplined again, and I want to try to get myself back. So that's number one. Number two, I want to learn Spanish. That's my number two resolution. I want to learn Spanish. Every year at this time, I have the same New Year's resolution. I'm going to learn Spanish. I went out and spent a lot of money on Rosetta Stone, the full segment of Rosetta Stone. And it is collecting so much dust. And so this year is the year that I'm going to bust it out. And I am going to do my best to try to improve what little Spanish I have, because that is something that's really important to me. I figure if I learn Spanish and I know English, I could probably get around in about half the world. So that's one of my big resolutions that I want to do. And my third resolution is something that people don't know very much about, but I like to write. And my third resolution is to start and finish a novel that I've had in my head, that I've been kicking around for 5 years. And every year I do the same thing. One year my wife even bought me a nice new little laptop computer and says, you can do your novel on this. This will be your novel computer. And you know, that thing's still in its box. And so I'm a big talker. I talk a lot about these things. This is the year of action. That's what this year is. I'm going to keep all these New Year's resolutions because they're important. And you know what? I wouldn't make them if they weren't important to me. And I think all of you should really think about what's important to you. What New Year's resolutions did you make, and do you fully intend on keeping those New Year's resolutions? For example, Paul, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I didn't until about 5 minutes ago. And then you kind of talked to me, and it was like, you know what, I kind of do. I posted someone that actually got a lot of surprising response on Facebook. Something that one of my all-time favorite passions is to cook. Ever since I was a little kid, I love to cook. And you know, I always kind of toyed with the idea about going to culinary school and going the traditional route, going to community college, going to university. I have my degree in psychology now. I'm working here at the radio station. But something I would love to do is to learn how to cook and to go to culinary school. So one of my New Year's resolutions is to start saving money for that. It's a little expensive, but I think in the long run it'd be worth it.
But do you think you're really going to make it happen?
I am. I'm going to try. I'm going to do my absolute best.
No, I think the answer is yes, I will.
Yeah, I will start saving money and start researching more. I mean, this is something I've thought about. I've never really researched until about a week ago, and I posted that thing on Facebook. And so I need to really do my due diligence and make sure I get into a correct program for me. But that's something I'd really like to do.
Because that's important to you, right?
Absolutely.
That is something that's a passion inside of you that's kind of waiting. There's like a seed inside your body that needs to be planted.
Yeah. And it's something that's never going to go away, something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And if I turn into a career for me, I'd be totally cool with that.
Well, you know, I think what you're saying is the same thing as what I was saying about working out, so to speak. A lot of people don't do it or don't start it because it's a journey to get where you want to be. But no journey starts without its first step. For example, you know, people will go to the gym once or twice and say, oh my God, I can only do the treadmill for 5 minutes. I'm so out of shape. What's the point? I'm never going to look like that guy, or I'm never going to be that way. But you know what? You can't stop it. And just like you can't let the fact that, you know what, culinary school is expensive get in your way. You have to find a way to make it happen. That's what you need to do.
Exactly. And there's ways to do it. I'll still have to work. If that's something I end up doing, I'll still have to work when I'm there. I have to figure out a way to work, make my schedule work, make my transportation work, make everything work. So.
Well, you will. And you know, I think the important thing is, it's kind of like when I was in undergraduate school. I had to work 40 hours a week in undergraduate school. I had a full-time job and I was going to college. And thankfully, when I was there, I had a job that I could actually study at when I was there. I used to work at a picture developing studio in the evenings. And the fortunate thing was it wasn't very busy in the evenings, but they still needed someone to cover it. So a lot of times I could take my books and read there while I was, working. So it worked out really well for me. But the point is, you can't let obstacles stop you, because otherwise you're gonna live in a world of regrets and what ifs. What if I would have gone to culinary school? What if I really would have tried to save and go? Because you don't want to when you're older, you don't want to have a bunch of the what ifs, a case of the what ifs. I mean, that's the reality of it. A lot of people will go through life and they're like, God, I just wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have gone here, or I wish. Well, make it happen. Figure out what it is.
There's always a million reasons to not do something.
There is. That's a good point, Paul, because if you sat there and you said, I'm going to name every single reason why I can't do this, you could probably name 50 of them.
If I did that with everything, then I wouldn't get out of bed anymore.
But you cannot let obstacles stop you from being happy. You can't do it. And if that's a passion of yours, Paul, then by God, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I'd love to do, something I think that I'm really good at. I've never had any complaints about my cooking, and I still have a lot to learn. Like, I'm by no means a top chef. It's something that I love to do, and I'm kind of self-taught at this point. I'd like to learn how to do things the right way.
Well, and I think that's important. So for me, I want to work out, I want to learn Spanish. Hey, maybe I should find a trainer that's also a Spanish teacher. Do both at the same time. Talk to me in Spanish the whole time he's training me. I need to find ways to make what I want to do happen. And you know what? I think I have a lot of excuses. Because, I'm a busy man. I run my businesses. I have a family. I have 2 kids. I have a lot of things that I have my house that I have to upkeep. So there's a lot of things that could suck my time away. But the bottom line is, what's more important is finding a way to do those things so that you don't always have that nagging feeling that I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And for you, obviously, that's cooking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any other resolutions aside from cooking?
That's the main one. I mean, I probably think of something like that. I've never been kind of a resolution guy, but again, you know, it's good, like you said, to hold yourself accountable. And especially something like this, when we're recording it, this time next year, we can play this back, and you and I can see how we did.
That's right, because you know what? We need to be you need accountability. Otherwise, as you said, you could find so many reasons why you're not doing it. Oh, well, you know, it just came up, I had to fix the house, or, you know, I had to spend time with my kids. But you know what? You need to make time. You need to make time to do those things that you know in the end are going to help complete your soul, because the bottom line is you only have one life, and you only have so many precious moments that you can do it. You know, I'll tell you something real quick before we go to break. You know, I met a lady one time when I was working with her on a reverse mortgage. And when I walked into her house, she was like 80 years old. She told me, when I sat down with her, first question she asked me says, "Do you travel?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I try to as much as I can." She goes, "Look, you need to travel as much as you can." She says, "When I was young, my husband and I decided that we were going to work really hard and we weren't going to do anything until we retired, and then we were going to spend the rest of our time traveling." She goes, "So we banked on the future." That's what we did. We banked on the future. And you know what she said? "My husband passed away before he retired." And she goes, "And my health gave out shortly thereafter. So we never got to retire. We never got to do it because we were putting it off,